This story is for those parents who always watch adult movies with their children, as this could be a harm and leads the children to do what they are watching from the television or on their mobile phone. One fateful night, the two kids were watching an adult movie rated 18 when their mother stepped into the parlor and saw them. "Hey, what are you kids still doing at this late hour of the night? Or maybe don't you guys know it's night already?" Wanna asked her children, who sat comfortably at the couch. "Mom, please. We just want to finish seeing this movie. It is very interesting," Emmanuel said, making a pity face. "Is true, Mom. We really want to know what will happen next in this movie. We've already gotten to the most interesting part of it," Emmanuel added. "I think you should leave them, honey. Tomorrow is Saturday, and it's a holiday for them." "Yes," the twins screamed in excitement. "Thank you so much, Dad. We really love you so much." The chorus. "Your father just to support you guys," Juana said. "Leave them. Babe, come on, let's get into our room and leave the kids to enjoy their movie," Frank said, dragging his wife into their room. Emmanuel and his twin sis glued their eyes on the interesting American movie showing on their television screen. They watched to a scene where the actress undressed herself and slowly climbed on top a young guy who laid naked on the bed. Their lips was locked together as they touch each other's weaker parts, and the rest was his. Emmanuel looked at his twin brother. His eyes was fixed on the action showing on the TV screen. Her libido was increased. "Hey, Emmanuel, you're so focused on what's happening on the television," she said, but his brother didn't say anything, busy looking at the TV screen. "I can see from your eyes that you are really enjoying it," she added with a romantic voice. Emmanuel smiled, but didn't say a word. "Are you enjoying it?" I said yes. "Well, will you do?" he responded, still watching the TV. "Then we going to know how to sort it out," she replied, immediately adjusting closer to her brother. Emmanuel can detect from the voice of her sister that she's already in the mood. "It's obvious in your eyes that you want it so bad tonight," he said. "And it's obvious that you also want it so bad. Cost your prac is already set to strike," Emmanuel said with a smile. He immediately covered the shape of his die with his hands. "You don't have to cover it. I've been seeing it always," she added. She climbed on top of his twin brother, giving him a deep kiss. She pulled off her nightwears and slowly taking off Emmanuel's trousers, rubbing his engine. "You have it huge, Emmanuel," she said. Emmanuel was already lost in ecstasy that he couldn't say a word, but enjoying his sister's touch. She dragged out his engine from his boxers and about giving him a head, but he stopped her. "Emmanuel, are we doing the right thing?" "What do you mean by the right thing? Aren't you enjoying my touch?" she said. "Not what I meant, sis. I'm just scared that we're not doing the right thing. Just lie on the couch. Let me get this thought out your head," Emmanuel said, pushing him to the couch. "Lie on the bed. Emmanuel, let me get this thought out of you," she said, pushing him on the couch, unzipped his trouser, and was about pulling his stick out. But Emmanuel stopped her. "I don't think we are doing the right thing. Please get off me." He pushed her away and walked into their room. She was left alone in the parlor, biting and licking her tongue. Morning came too quick for Emmanuel because she's been awake waiting for the next day. The next day, been Saturday, their parents had left, leaving the 16-year-old twins at home alone. "You just walked out of me last night," she said. "Yeah, I have to, because my body was shivering as someone with fever. When you climb on top of me, you have to feel that way. Because it was your first time, you have to be a man." Emmanuel, stop behaving like a baby. "That a bold step. If you can't do it, I will be referring you as a girl. I won't be seeing you as a man," she added. The noon, Emmanuel walked out of the bathroom to their room wearing only a towel tied round his waist. He pulled off the towel, applying some creams on his body. A hand grabbed his dick from behind, rubbing it gently. "WTF is wrong with you, Emmanuel? How can you walk into our room when I'm dressing up? Why can't you give me some space?" "No, Emmanuel, you are my twin brother. Your body is mine and mine is yours," she said in a romantic way, still soft, pressing his joystick. He can't control this again, was already feeling her touch. "Look, brother, your dick is already hard. Let's do this. Please stop proving store," she added. He let loose of himself, nodding his head like a lizard. She gently undressed herself, and both fell to the bed naked. Emmanuel spread her leg widely, putting her brother's pencil to her hole by herself. Do it like that man we watched yesterday's night in the money. She whispered he was riding on her speedily. As she moaned greatly, her moaning grew stronger that it attracted the attention of a close neighbor who decided to go knock on the door. Blood of Jesus, what are you twins doing? Your parents must hear this, she screamed loudly, opening the door. Why, having sex with each other. Have you forgotten that you guys are twins? The neighbors shouted at them. The twins got shocked. They went on their nests, begging the neighbor not to let their parents know about it. No, I can't forgive your guys. This is a deadly act, and your parents must get to hear this so that they can stop this now. It's still early. Emmanuel, why having an affair with your twin sister? She asked. I'm so sorry, it wasn't my fault. She forced herself on me, he said, shivering with fear as tears streamed down his eyes. What, she forced herself on you? Why could you do such? Emmanuel kept quiet without saying a word. I can't let this go. You need to be punished dearly, she said, and left. Have you seen what you've paused? I told you that this won't bring any positive results, he said. Why do you like to let little things bother you? See how you're shivering in fear. What made you think that Mom and Dad will believe her if we tell them she's lying against us? Emmanuel said, you have to stop shivering. Let's plan on what to tell Mom and Dad. If our neighbor dared tell them about this at noon. Juana returned so early from work, since she had a lot of things to cook for the next day. Sunday. Emmanuel sat beside her washing some vegetables, and Emmanuel was throwing some topics at her as they discussed. Good afternoon, Juana, the neighbor greeted. Emmanuel's heart sank into his stomach. Seeing the neighbor in their house, Juana took a while before reciprocating. How can I help you? Juana asked. I don't need anything from you, but I just want to report something important to you, she said. A report? What's the report all about? It's all about your kids. Can you believe that I caught them having sex earlier today? She said. Juana got shocked. She gently stood up from the small kitchen chair she was sitting on. I don't hear you well, Juana said. The neighbor repeated her report a second time. Mommy is a lie. She's lying against us. I and my twin brother was playing inside the room. She knocked on the door and asked what was going on. I told her that I'm playing with my brother, but she insisted that we were having an affair. Emmanuel said. What, Emmanuel? So you can lie like this? The neighbor screamed. Aunt, I'm not lying. Rather, I am saying the truth. Emmanuel, am I lying? Emmanuel waved his head from left to right, gently saying no as his heart pant heavily. Mrs. Juana, this your kids are lying. I'm here to tell you to train them with an iron hand. You're over-pampering them, and they are spoiling themselves. Before she could finish her words, a heavy and a hot slap interrupted her. Excuse me, who are you? Teach me how to train my kids. Are you out of your senses? They are twins and accepted to do things in common. As long as I'm concerned, you slapped me because I came to tell you what I saw your twins doing with my own bare eyes, the neighbor said, holding her chicks. And I will do that again if you can't come here with the news that is pleasing to the ears. Do you want to pollute my innocent kids with your dirty minds? Get out of my house before I lose control of myself. Juana barked. The neighbor stood still as tears rolled down deep down. She was regretting why she came to report the first place. Why are you still standing there, you gossip? Do you wanted me to push you out? She shouted, dragging her out of her corner. Yes, I told you that Mom won't believe her. Instead words, she came to gossip, and she has received the punishment of a gossiper, Emmanuel said, laughing. Around 8:30 p.m. Emmanuel was asked to go take their bath before dinner. Emmanuel was the first to bath. She went into the bathroom and quickly rushed out, all in the name that she scared. Emmanuel was taking you too long to take your bath, so that Emmanuel will come and take his. Juana asked. Mom, I'm scared. I can't birth alone in that bathroom. Cared of what? I thought there's light there. Yes, but it seems as if that was one is standing behind me when I'm about taking my bath. I can't stay with you in the bathroom, and I'm trying to reach your dad, but his line isn't going through. What are you then suggesting? Juana asked. Mom, since you can't stay with me, Emmanuel can come. Let's bath together. Since he my twin and we do things in common, we can also bath together. Since I'm scared, Emmanuel said with a sad look. Mom, since you can't assist me in the bathroom, I suggest it will be better to bath with my twin brother. Emmanuel, bath with Emmanuel. Do you really want to bath with your twin brother? Juana asked. Yes, Mom, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Since he is my twin brother, are you not okay with that? She asked, staring at Emmanuel. Yeah, I'm all right with it, said slowly, nodding his head. In that case, you guys to rush into the bathroom And take your baths quickly before your food get cold. Juana said, still manipulating her phone. Emmanuel smiled as they walked into the bathroom. I can see from your recent actions that you're enjoying how I'm strolling your dick, Emmanuel said, undressing him by herself. I told you not to be afraid. Mom will never believe that our gossip neighbors. She brought out Emmanuel's man's 00D, giving him a head while he was lost in ecstasy. But the Manuel, this is increasing my libido. How did you learn all these things? Emmanuel managed to say, still feeling his sister's touch. I have some videos on our phone that shows how it's been done. I've also seen Dad and Mom doing it at the middle of the night when I woke up to urinate. She said, take it. He moaned, take it easy on my dick. I'm feeling that milky watering thing is about to come out from my wood. Emmanuel kept mute, still giving him a head. Emmanuel, are you guys still bathing? I'm not hearing the sounds of any water in that bathroom. And your foods are cold already. Juana screamed from the parlor. We're already done, Mom. We're scrubbing the sponge on our body. That's why you aren't the sounds of water. Emmanuel responded immediately. All right, guys, hurry up before your dad returns. After some minutes, they walked out of the bathroom to their room, feeling excited and relieved. How did you see the touch at the bathroom? Wow, it was magical. I felt as if I was in another world. Emmanuel, you're indeed special in this, he said honestly. After this, I usually have a good sleep. He added, well, that's to say we going to be doing it often and on because I'm really enjoying it. You're satisfying my S3 Zool pleasures. Emmanuel said, come on, let's go and join Mom at the dining table, she said after they're dressed. After some minutes, Frank came back, and Juana couldn't wait but to unleash the words of their neighbors to her husband. Honey, go ahead, warn Hero. Tell that woman to stay off my family matters or else I will do with her. Why is her fixed on my family? Juana said, roaring in anger. Take his easy, darling. Calm down, babe. It's night already. I will go warn her tomorrow morning. Frank pleaded, calming his wife down. You better do, 'cause I won't take it easy on her. I will. Frank said, babe, I got a good news for you. Frank said, smiling. A good news? What's that, honey? You know, I can't guess. Surprise is Frank screamed, handling over an invitation card to her. What's this? She asked. Company is inviting all workers and their wives and husband on a dinner night. It's going to be enjoying, 'cause I will be going with you, Frank said. Juana screamed in excitement, because it's been long. She is longing to visit his husband working place. But babe, what of our kids? Can he afford to stay alone? She asked. Mom, you're free to go with Dad. We can stay alone. Can't we? Emmanuel asked her brother. Yes, Mom, we can stay alone. We are no longer kids, we're 16 now, Emmanuel said with a smile. Really, I don't want anybody should call me on phone to come back quick. Juana said, no, Mom, we won't disturb. Go to the party and enjoy yourself with Dad while we sit back at home and enjoy ourselves with interesting movies, Emmanuel convincingly said. Juana sensed that all wasn't all right. Her kids doesn't react this way whenever she wants to leave with her husband. Something is wrong somewhere, she murmured within herself. All right then, I will go in with your father. Honey, come a sit, let's eat. I've been waiting for you to return. Frank sat down happily, scooping the food inside his mouth, looking so excited. At midnight, Juana started to think how her kids reacted when they heard she will be attending a party with their father. This kids doesn't react this way. Can it be that something is wrong somewhere? Or is it a sign that they're growing their attitude earlier? Marveled me. Can it be that what our neighbor told me earlier about them is true? Are these kids really having an affair with each other? Why did Emmanuel insist that her brother must bath with her? Why did they took so long before coming out? And Emmanuel's dick was hard when rush out from the bathroom. No, this can't be true. My kids can't do such a deadly act. The words of this evil neighbor is finding expression in me, she said within herself. She waved the thought off her head, forcing herself to sleep. But sleep was too far from her. Why can't I sleep? Why is this thought still moving round my head? Juana murmured, sitting at the corner of the bed. I need to clear off this thought by taking action. She stood up and went to her husband's old work bag. I took one of his cameras. Frank was once a photographer before he was called up by his company. She tiptoed to her kids' room and slowly mounted the small camera on top of their wardrobe and gently walk away without being noticed nor seen by the kids. If what this near neighbor said is true, then my camera will prove it. But I know in my spirit that my kids can't do such, she said, biting her fingers before she was carried away by the merry hands of sleep. Towards evening the next day, the twins were staring at their mom as she applies some powder on her face. Mom, you look so beautiful. Emmanuel said. Yeah, she's more pretty than Queen Elizabeth of England, Emmanuel added with a broad smile, since on their faces. Thanks you so much, my beloved kids, Juana replied. Emmanuel, I will like to tell you guys to be a good child. I and your father won't be around tonight, so try as much as possible to stay out of problem, Juana advised. Mom, we will try our best to stay away from problem, and our gossiping neighbors. We will stay inside in our room till you and Dad returns, Emmanuel said. That's good, Juana said. She pegged the kids on their chicks as they escort her outside where Frank was waiting for her. The both hopped inside the car and drove off. What next, Emmanuel asked, Top asking. As if you don't know the next thing, Emmanuel responded romantically. The twins went into their room and continue with their normal thing this time. Emmanuel felt so relaxed having an affair with his twin sister because he knew nobody was at home to catch or stop them. Emmanuel was enjoying what her brother was doing to her and screamed for him to go more harder as the kids were playing in their rooms. The camera was on recording what it can see. The heavy moan of Emmanuel drew the attention of the neighbors this time, but she didn't bother because her parents won't believe any of them. After some couple of minutes, Frank and his wife arrived at the spot where the company's party was held. A lot of men were dancing and enjoying themselves with their wives, but Juana sat at a corner overwhelmed and thought about her kids. Are you all right? Frank asked, tapping her at the shoulder. She regained consciousness. Wait, yes, yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure? You look so worried, he asked again. Yes, honey, I'm absolutely fine, she lied. Then why not join me on a dance with my colleagues, he requested. You can go ahead. I'm having a stomach upset, and I don't want to stress myself much, Juana replied, rubbing her hands on her stomach. Hey, sit tight, Frank said, and left. Juana tried all she could to wave the thought off her head and focus on the party, but all to no avail. She became much worried when a message dropped on her phone. Hey, Juana, come back home immediately. You have to see something happening with your own eyes, the message reads, and it was from a new saved contact. Juana looked at her husband. He was already obsessed with the music. She didn't want to bother that she had to sneak off from that atmosphere. She went outside and dialed the unknown number. But it wasn't reachable. What is happening in my home? What is it that I have to see with my own eyes? Can it be about my kids? And why is this number not going through? She murmured within herself. She alerted a bike and hurried home. Few minutes later, she arrived home, seeing all the neighbors around her compound chipping some words among themselves. She walked past them, heading to the door. She banged on the door, and immediately Emmanuel opened. Mom, why back so soon? She said. Juana kept mute, walking straight to their room, and Emmanuel followed her. She brought out the camera on top of the wardrobe. She replayed what it has recorded already, and what she saw shocked her eyes. Emmanuel opened her eyes widely. With her mouth opened, Emmanuel jumped up from the bed instantly as his heart sank into his stomach. What the fuck is this? No, I can't believe my eyes, Juana screamed in pains. Emmanuel's heart was panting heavily, so as her brother, who was already shivering in fear. Juana pressed the buttons on the camera, hoping to find something, but to her greatest surprise, she couldn't find what she expected. Camera only captured the ceiling fan and clothes on hanger. Come here, come closer, she commanded. Emmanuel and his sister drew closer with their eyes fixed on their M's mouth, waiting to hear her next word. Who touched this camera among the both of you? She asked. Camera, Mom. I didn't touch any camera, Yuel said. Mom, I didn't even know you kept a camera on our room. Can't you see how surprised I was when you walked and passed me heading straight to where you kept it? You know the wardrobe is longer than us. We can't even climb it, even if we saw the camera there, she defended. Juana was confused, still manipulating the buttons on the camera, hoping to see what she expected, but all to no avail. Emmanuel's heart relaxed knowing that her mom can't find exactly what she was looking for. She now summoned the courage to throw some questions at her mom. Mom, I really need you to explain to your own kids why you hid a camera in our room. Are you suspecting us? Or maybe you've started to believe what our neighbors are saying about my twin brother. And she questioned. Yes. Mom, why was the camera placed on our room? Don't you trust your kids anymore? Emmanuel added. Juana kept mute. She doesn't know what next to say. She can't come up with a word of excuse to defend herself. Juana stood up and left, leaving the kids alone in their room. Immediately, she left. Emmanuel closed the door as the jubilated for not being caught. All thanks to you, Emmanuel, for saving our skin today. "You don't have to bother yourself as far as we're in this together. You have no reason to bother yourself," she replied. "But how did find out that a camera was on top of our wardrobe?" Emmanuel asked. "I wasn't sleeping when Mom came in. I was awake pounding over the dream I dreamt when I heard the sounds of footsteps approaching towards our door, and I had to pretend as if I was sleeping to know who was that, and I saw Mom placing something on top of the wardrobe when she left for the party. The next day, I had to go and check what she kept there last night. Then I saw a camera placed there facing our bed. I immediately changed the position." Emmanuel stared at his sister with a broad smile on his face. "Wow, thank you once again," he said. Emmanuel laughed as they hugged each other. Emmanuel and his twin sister continued this very deadly act without being caught. It now became part of their lifestyle. One day, Emmanuel walked into her parents' room one early morning to get something she left there. Her mom was on the kitchen preparing breakfast, while Frank was about changing his cloth after the warm bath. Frank pulled out the towel on his waist, gently applying some creams on his body. Without noticing Emmanuel's presence, she stood at a corner admiring his father's manhood. Her legs was already shivering as dirty thought runs round her head. When Frank turned and saw her daughter standing at a corner staring at him, the unexpected then happened. Her leg was already shivering. As she chewed her lips, nasty thoughts began to run round her mind. "Oh my God, this is huge. My father has it huge than my brother. Just look at it. It looks so attractive," she said in her mind. Frank felt so comfortable applying some creams on his naked body. He noticed Emmanuel's presence when he turned to take his cloth. "Oh, Emmanuel, you're here. How long have you been standing here?" Frank asked. But Emmanuel was lost in thought with her eyes fixed on the manhood now facing her. Emmanuel, Frank called out, increasing the tones of his voice a bit, which made Emmanuel regain consciousness. "Are you all right?" Dad, "Yes, Dad, I'm fine," she answered gently. "I didn't even know when you walked in. How long have you been standing here?" "I'm just coming down. I came to pick up some of my stuffs I left here," she answered. Her heart was racing, hoping that her father will scold at her after knowing she was staring at his dick. But Frank's reaction changed everything. "All right, you can have a sit," Frank said, pointing at the bed. Still naked, she was surprised that her father offered her a sit after seeing what happened few seconds back. She slowly sat down comfortably on the bed, still staring at her father's downside. Frank wasn't bothered. Rather, he engaged her on a discussion, moving from one end of the house to the other, with his dick dangling heavily. "Daddy," she called, raising one of her legs up in a romantic manner. Frank stared at her, but seems not to get the sign. Her sexual urge arose greatly that she can't control her emotions any longer. She chewed her lips, slowly pulling up part of her clothes to attract her father's attention. But Frank wasn't concerned. "Dad, can I help dress you up?" "Dress me up? Can you dress me?" he asked. "Yes, Daddy. I can even bath you. You're my father, and I can do anything for you. Remember, when we were small you bath us, and now it's other time for us to bath you before you become more older." Frank laughed out loudly. The words of Emmanuel triggered him. He thought it was just a mere word without knowing she meant all her words. "Dad, I'm your only daughter, and you promised to be doing anything I asked for me." "Yeah, that's what I said, and I have been fulfilling it in my own little way," he responded, putting on a white small boxer showing the shapes of his stick and the balls. "In few years now I will be turning 18, and I want to ask a favor from you, Dad," she pleaded in a pity face. "Come on, my queen, spit it out, and your father will try his best to do it for you. Even if it's to borrow a loan, I will do it for my only daughter. Dad, when I was 8 years, you mom and I used to bath together in the bathroom. And it is really used to be fun. I've really missed that happy bath and wish to bath with you again before I turn 18. Frank didn't say a word for a couple of minutes. "Dad, is something wrong? Are you not all right with it?" she said. "Okay. Then I thought it was something else. But since it's a cool bath with my only daughter, there is nothing absolutely wrong with it. I can go miles to make you happy," he added. "Thank you so much, Dad. I have to go catch up with my twin brother," she said and she heard her mom's voice humming a song. Walking towards the room, immediately she opened a door and walked some steps away. She started vomiting, pressing her stomach so hard pains was much she started shedding tears, trying to stop herself from alarming the attention of anyone. "What is wrong, Ella? What is wrong with you?" a voice said behind, tapping her on the shoulder. "Are you sure you're okay? Why vomiting so hard?" a voice said, tapping her from behind. She looked, it was her mum, Juana. She closed up that which she has vomited with sand. Ella, are you all right? She asked again. Yes, Mom, I'm perfectly okay. Just having a little stomach upset. Rush in and take some stomach tablet on top of the table in the parlor. Juana said, no, Mom, I think I'm all right now. She took 3 steps forward and fell, still vomiting some liquid substance out from her mouth. Juana rushed to lift her up, screaming in fear. Frank and Emmanuel quickly rushed out to know what's causing such a heavy alarm. What is it, Mom? Emmanuel asked, jumping out from their room. Emmanuel, Ella, what's happening to her? Frank asked authoritatively. I don't really know what's wrong with her. She was vomiting the food she ate earlier before slumping. This is serious. I think we should go see the doctor immediately, Frank suggested. No, Dad, I don't want to see the doctor. I said I'm okay. Just having a stomach upset because of the excess food I took last night, Ella said. Emmanuel stood speechless, staring at his sister, who lied tiredly on the floor. All right then, I suggest she should go and lie on the bed. Let's see if she regained her strength, Frank said, carrying her to the bed. Few weeks later, Emmanuel seems not to have recovered, always sleeping throughout the half hour of the day and feeling tired to do some minor works at home at this time. Juana started having a double mind about her daughter. This is not just a stomach upset anymore. Ella has been hiding something from me. Her body stature has been changing gradually, like that of a pregnant lady, Juana murmured to herself, walking to meet Ella where she laid tiredly. What is actually wrong with you? This is already 3 weeks, yet you have recovered, and I'm observing a change in your body. She said, Mom, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I'm pregnant? She asked. Juana couldn't say a word. She sat down at the end corner of the bed. As tears streamed down her eyes, she recalled when she accidentally met Ella naked twice in the presence of her husband, without asking questions. If I'm pregnant, then who am I pregnant for? Have you ever seen me with a boy or what? Ella asked, increasing the tones of her voice. Juana kept mute, pondering over what she saw, trying to hold herself from crying. Frank, don't do this to our only daughter. I won't forgive you if I found out that our daughter is pregnant for you, she said within herself, tapping her foot on the floor. A few minutes, Frank walked in with a doctor, and Emmanuel followed suit. Doc, my daughter has been lying this way for the past 3 weeks. I don't really know what's wrong with her. She's been complaining about her stomach, though we've been prescribing some drugs for her, but no improvement. Juana added, did you say she's been like this for the past few weeks? Yes, sir, always feeling tired and vomiting out the food she ate, Frank responded. Emmanuel's heart began to pant heavily, giving the doctor an eye signal, but he didn't understand. The doctor stared at her for some seconds, pressed her stomach, and Ella screamed heavily. It is obvious that your daughter is pregnant, the doctor said. PR, Frank exclaimed. Pregnant, Juana and Emmanuel screamed loudly. Emmanuel's heart sank into his buttocks. His legs began to shiver. No, no, doctor, it can't be true. I'm not pregnant, she said in tears. I'm so sorry, little girl. You can't teach me my work, the doctor said. Juana slowly sat on the floor, unleashing the tears in her eyes. Who impregnated you, Emmanuel? Juana aggressively asked. Mom, please, you have to believe me. I'm not pregnant, she said, murmuring. Who impregnated you, Ella? She sounded more serious this time. Her eyes turned red. Tears streamed down Ella's eyes. She turned, fixing her eyes on her father, who was shocked about the news. Who impregnated you, Ella? How did this pregnancy came to be? The last time I checked, it was only Virgin Mary that conceived with having an affair. Who was responsible for this? Juana aggressively asked, still wailing. Emmanuel, in a teary eyes, turned to her father. Without saying the word, Juana traced her eyes and saw it was fixed on her husband. Frank, no, no, this can't be true. I don't want to believe that what my mind has been telling me is the truth, Juana screamed, walking towards her husband. Frank, don't tell me you have a hand in this. Don't tell me that you impregnate 3D, your only daughter. Frank looked confused and shocked at the same time. I don't know, you're trying to say Ella is my daughter, and I can't be having 3x with her, he stammered, waving his head from left to right. Who is telling the truth between you both? She's looking at you. That's to say you're responsible now. You're proving innocent. What's happening now? She shouted. Emmanuel's legs felt so heavy that it can't carry him anymore. He had to place his body on a wall, his heart racing in fear. Honey, I don't know how to say this, but I'm not responsible for her pregnancy, Juana interrupted him with a nice slap. Shut up, your ficking ass. I don't believe any of you at the moment wanted to scream, scratching her hair with fingers. Who's responsible for this? And 3 sill on your stomach, Dad, Dad. She muttered, Dad, Dad. Did what did I do? Frank said, defending himself. Dad, if only you cautioned us, if you had corrected me, if only you disciplined me, this wouldn't have happened to me. I don't get what you're saying, Emmanuel said. Juana, top talking in parables, hit the hammer on the nail. Because I don't seem to understand you, Frank said. Dad, if only you flogged Emmanuel. And when you caught us having an affair, you've caught us countless times having 3x. But you chose to talk softly without taking actions. You exposed us to PRN by having intimacy with Mom while we're in the room. We thought it was something legal, seeing you both doing it boldly, Emmanuel. And I tried it and enjoyed it. When Mom became suspicious, we wanted to stop. But we're already addicted to it, she said, wailing deeply. We're so sorry, please forgive us. I didn't know it will result to this, Emmanuel said, feeling remorseful. Frank fell on his feet as tears gradually dropped down his cheeks. I'm the cause of this. This silly mistake was from me, he said slowly in agony. Goosebumps was all over Dodi's body. She didn't know what to say or what to do. It's obvious that she failed to play her own role well. I chose to defend you guys when I needed to ask questions. If I had carried out investigation properly, then ending my anger on them. Truly, I did a terrible mistake, Juana said in tears. Crying won't do good. We need to know what to do next. This should be 2 months pregnancy, and I believe she has been taking in pills to flush it out. The doctor said. Pills? Yes, Mom, I was scared, and a friend gave me some tablets to take in order to flush it out, Ella said. What should we do now? Frank asked. I suggest it's better to keep the baby. Flushing it out will endanger her life and that of the baby. The doctor suggested. The big mistake has been made, and we need to stand and take in the consequences, Frank murmured to himself. 7 months later, Ella was taken into labor. After several hours, the doctor came out with a shocking news. Who are the parents to the young pregnant girl? Doctor